Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the art supplies that I use to create my mixed media whimsical paintings. So here you can see that I've got quite a lot of supplies set out on my table, and I'm going to go through them individually with you and explain why I use them. So you can see there's quite a few different things to share with you, and I'm going to start off I think with the basic tools, which is what I draw with, and I basically just use these cheap, they're Papermate mechanical pencils, and I've just added an extra eraser on the top. I think they're Helix ones, these, because I was running out of the one that comes on the top. So you can get these in packs on Amazon or in stationery supply stores and places like that. So I just use that really for convenience because I don't have to sharpen them, and they're really easy to use. So that's what I use to draw with. So these are the brushes that I mostly use. These are watercolour brushes. They're Coatman ones by Winsor & Newton, and they're round-headed like sable type brushes, and I've got like a medium one and a smaller one. These are my go-to brushes for pretty much all my work. Most of my work is on a small scale, and so these are perfect. And I also use occasionally, if I'm doing bigger pieces or have bigger areas to lay down, I use these. And again, these are sable brushes. These ones are Pro Art Proline ones. You can see that on there. And that's like a round-headed not chisel tip, round-headed one. And this is the flat-head one. I use these because they're lovely and soft, and these are great for laying down big areas of paint like I just said, and yeah, really lovely and smooth. And the reason why I use watercolour brushes in general is because most of my work, well, all of my work pretty much, is a very sort of painterly, soft kind of style, and basically these are fantastic for blending. They create that nice soft look that I like, and you can do lots of different tips and tricks with them, which I can show you in other videos. They kind of hold the water, so they're great for blending, and yeah, they're just lovely soft brushes, and they work really well with acrylics. Even though they're watercolour brushes, they still work with acrylics, and if you look after them, make sure you wash them out and don't leave them in water, then they keep really well. So you can see these are well used, and they do last me quite a long time before I need to replace them. And yeah, so these are my go-to ones. The smaller ones tend to run out quicker because the brushes start to spread out, and because I need it for finer detail work, I need to replace those more often so I can get a nice precision point. I do have a flathead one as well. That I mostly just use for painting the edges of my work, and then I just have a cheap art brush that I use for using with glue, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So those are my brushes. They're literally the only ones that I use. I've tried loads of different ones, and these are my favourites. So that's the brushes. Now the paint. So I don't gesso or anything like that. I used to do that years ago. I had black gesso, white gesso, and I've got a clear gesso, but I don't use that anymore. Just don't feel like I need it, and when I show you the surfaces that I use later on, I'll show you why that is. So let's move on to paint. So I have a few different brands that I use for that. So I mostly use craft paints because I find that the texture that they offer is really brilliant, and they have such a huge range of colours. I'm not brilliant at colour mixing, and I just love all the variety of colours that they do. Plus, of course, I have a kind of vintagey sort of palette, so I can find the colours that I want in those brands really well. So these are examples that I've pulled out. I use white loads, use it for my highlights mostly, and for things like my teapots and teacups and stuff like that I always start with white. And there's one of the pinks that I use. I've also got this one, a deco art one, which is pink suede, and that's a go-to pink. It's a lovely vintagey pink that I love. There's the Do Crafts Artiste paints. I use these as well. They're available in my local art supply shop, so they're great. And I've got Americana as well. It's pretty much just because of the colours that I can get. This is a lovely yellow ochre sort of colour, and they're all good quality, and I say they've got some great colours, and the best thing of all is that they actually dry with a kind of a matte finish, so it works perfect for when I put my charcoal pencil over the top. So I've tried out using the other professional paints, and they leave quite a shine to your work, and that's good in some projects, but for me I like the matte look, and so I really enjoy having the craft paints with that look, and I can draw over the top and things and it won't go funny, so that's really cool. So that's the paints that I use. And I also use this, I've got Anita's all-purpose acrylic, and this is earth brown. This is my go-to brown that I use for shading and stuff like that. If you see my other videos, I use it a lot. And also I have this Amsterdam acrylic standard series. This is the black that I use. Now, I very rarely use black in my actual paintings, but I use it to paint the sides of my paintings, just to kind of finish it off, give it a nice look, and I use my flathead watercolour brush to do that. So this is kind of, it's kind of like a heavy body. It's kind of in between of a fluid and a heavy body, so it's got a nice thickness, and it's goes down quite nice, so it's not transparent or anything, so opaque is the word I'm looking for, I think. So that's really good. And there's a few artists professional paints that I do use a lot, and they are the Liquitex professional acrylic heavy body. Now this is a lovely gorgeous pink, and I find that I use that a lot, mainly for doing accents and things. And this Titan Buff, I use this loads. This is a great mid-tone colour and great for blending as well, and I used to have a big tub of it and used all that up, so moved on to the tube, and it's very, very convenient. So they're mostly the ones that I use that are professional paints. The reason I use this is basically I got into the habit of using it as a great blending colour, and Golden are a brilliant brand for paints. I started out using their white and the black, and I've got a nice dark brown of theirs. They are really nice quality, but like I said before, a lot of these go shiny when they're dry, and I don't really like that look for my work. So this is mostly for blending, and I find that when I blend it with the other colours it doesn't come out very shiny, so that's why I use that one. So that's it for the paints. I've got a big basket below my desk of, I'll just show you quickly. They're all my paints. You can see I've got some other professional paints in there, but I don't use them that often. I've got I've got this yellow. This yellow is a bit, the tube's a bit messed up. I think that's the one, isn't it? Yeah, the Naples yellow. Winsor & Newton Galleria. I use that a lot. That's a really nice sunny yellow. So I guess it's just really finding the colours that I want. It doesn't really matter to me brands, as long as they're fairly professional, good quality paints. So that's another one. And I have got some other Amsterdam ones down there and stuff, but I don't use those that often. So for gluing collage papers down on my work, which I sometimes do, I don't do it all the time now, I use this Liquitex matte gel medium. Now it's really good glue, and you can use it underneath the collage elements and over the top. And I also use that, I have some Prima paper flowers, which I use a lot, which I can show you here. So I've got quite a few different colours. They're another supply that I use. They're just paper flowers. You can get them off eBay or craft supply shops, and they come in all different sizes, shapes and colours. So for those elements I use this Liquitex matte gel medium, and that's really, really good and professional. So that's that, and I just use a cheap paintbrush to put that on, and then I rinse it out afterwards. At the back here we've got some other things to share with you. This is my heat gun. It's a crafter's. I think most people use it for like embossing and things like that, for card makers and stuff. It's really handy. It is a Dovecraft one, and this is really great for drying paint if you're in a rush, or if you're doing live streams and you want it to go a bit faster. You just have to be careful that you don't hold it too close to the paint, otherwise it starts to bubble or you could burn your surface. And yeah, hold it sort of far away and don't heat it for too long, otherwise it'll make it go all horrible and nasty. You don't want that. So that's a really handy tool. Another handy tool is my rag cloth. This is literally just a household J cloth that I use. I use it for drying off my watercolour brushes every time I've rinsed them, to get off the excess water. And I use it for scrubbing paint when I'm trying to do like a nice rustic background and things like that. So it's very handy and I use it all the time. And this is the glitter glue that I use for the centres of flowers mostly, and also just to add sparkly accents to my paintings. And it's by Stickles, and they do a range of different colours and styles of this. It's a Ranger product, and this is my favourite. It's called Stardust. It's like an iridescent, it's kind of clear one. It's very light and subtle. So that's what I use in the centre of my flowers and things like that. And I recently picked up these two. These are a similar thing, but they are 3D Pearl Effects. Now these are really cool. I got pink and I like a pearly colour one, and they're by Dovecraft. And yeah, I recently used them in a card that I made, and I think I put some on my daisy painting, the pink one. And it looks really gorgeous. It's just like 3D little pearls. It's so cute. So I'll definitely be using those more in my future paintings, so I can recommend those. Another tool that I use a lot is a charcoal pencil. Now this one is a Conte one, and it's a 2B, but any charcoal pencil will do. It doesn't have to be this brand. I sharpen it with a craft knife to get a nice point on it, and I use that to outline elements in my paintings. Sometimes I just use graphite pencil. It kind of depends on the look that I'm going for. Sometimes I want a really light look to the painting, so I just use graphite, or nothing at all if I've got a nice smooth edge to each element on there. Or I'll go for the charcoal pencil. Now you have to be really light with it because it comes out quite dark. And you can erase it if you put on too much. And to soften it, I use a regular cotton bud or Q-tip, and I just use the ends to soften it. And I make sure to have a fresh one quite often, so that there's not too much of it on there that's going to make it all smudgy and nasty. So you have to be quite light-handed with that part of my kind of painting. So that's another supply that I use. And to finish off my paintings, I always use this Winsor & Newton Professional Satin Varnish. Now, as I said before, I really like the matte look. I don't like shininess to my work, so this is perfect for me. And it's really convenient, it's not messy, and it does a really good job. So I use it in, I usually go in our garage now and open the window and spray stuff in there so that it's away from the house and there's good ventilation and everything. So yes, it's a great spray adhesive. I have used the Liquitex liquid varnish before. That's a lot harder to use because you need to use a nice clean brush and brush it on, and you don't want to be smudging elements and things like that. So because I use like charcoal pencil and things, I prefer to use a spray adhesive so I don't have to worry about anything smudging. So I use 2 or 3 coats of that, and works really well. So that's how I finish my paintings. Now let's move on to the actual surfaces that I use. So I mostly use wood, that's my favourite. I started out using mostly canvases and a little bit of wood. These are the deep edge canvases that I buy. They're Winsor & Newton deep edge canvases. As you can see, they've got nice thick edges and they're like that on the back, so they're easy to hang. I don't tend to use canvas that often because of the actual surface of it. I prefer a nice smooth surface, but sometimes it's nice to change things up, and I know a lot of you prefer the canvas look, so I sometimes do those. They come in a range of sizes from very small up to massive, so I mostly get the small ones, but I'd like to work on some bigger ones later on. I have done some pretty big some very big paintings before using canvas, and they're really nice. So that's that. And there's also canvas board. Now I'm not that keen on canvas board. I do use it occasionally. It's a good cheap surface to use, and great if you need to do lots of little paintings. These ones are by Jackson's Art, and premium cotton canvas board. You can get these anywhere from art and craft supply shops. They're pretty inexpensive, and they're pre-primed canvas boards, and they come in various sizes. So I've got a few different ones. I've got some larger ones as well, mostly for my 100 days of painting project. So, and now these are the ones that I most commonly use. First of all, these are the hearts that I use for my hanging hearts. Now these are super popular, and really enjoy doing these. And these are MDF cutout shapes, and get these on eBay from a seller who makes all different kinds of shapes, and you can get them with the one hole, or they can have a hole sort of either side there, depending on how you want to hang it. So they're really cute and really inexpensive. And then these are the wooden panels that I use. I get them from Jackson's Art again. They're really good quality, really reasonable price, and such a gorgeous surface to work on. These are the regular 4x4s that I use, and you can see the kind of width of, or depth of the edges. You can get deeper ones than this, and I have used those in the past, but I'm currently sort of using this size, which is nice. And the back is finished off really nice as well. You can put eyelets in and some string if you want to hang it up that way, or you can just hang it straight off of the edge of the wood there. And this is a bigger one, and this has been opened so I can show you the texture. Now going back to what I said about surfaces and finishes and stuff, using the soft brushes against the lovely soft grain of the wood and the matte colours, it works so beautifully. And you can see the wood grain there. Sometimes I do like washes and let the wood grain show through, but mostly not. It's just a really gorgeous surface to work on, and it's by far my favourite. So again, the sides are the same depth as a 4x4, and the back looks like that. So yeah, I'd highly recommend, if you're starting out and you want to try out some surfaces, these wood ones are great. They're really lovely. So they're my favourites, and I've got different sizes. You can get them in squares or rectangles, and yeah, I think there's quite a few places in America that sell these kinds of things, and they're now becoming a lot more popular in the UK as well, which is really good. I started out doing, getting these from a website called Great Art, and they have some really nice little 4x2 inches. I've done a lot of those, and they make great like shelf sitters, and they seem quite popular. And now Jackson's Art are doing these as well, and so that's really good to have more variety of places that we can buy them from. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much all I use at the moment. I use jute string to hang the hanging hearts, and sometimes some ribbon. What else? That's pretty much it for supplies, I think. I'm obviously just getting into doing marker drawings and things like that, but I don't have them for sale yet. So it's mostly supplies for my current paintings. I have done some watercolour painting in the past, and may do some more in the future. But for now I'm sticking with acrylics, and I really love them. So there you go. If you've got any questions about the supplies that I use, please leave them in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.